Angela Duckworth's story isn't about being the smartest. It's about refusing to quit. In this episode of Built from Nothing, we explore how the author of Grit went from being told she wasn't a genius to becoming one of the most influential minds in education and psychology. If you've ever felt underestimated, overlooked, or like you didn't have what it takes, this is the story that proves effort changes everything. This is the power of grit. What if the thing holding you back wasn't your past, your talent, or your intelligence, but the belief that those things even matter? What if greatness had nothing to do with being born gifted, and everything to do with how long you're willing to fight for something that matters? Because the people who go the furthest aren't always the smartest. They're just the ones who never give up. Angela Duckworth wasn't born successful. She didn't have an edge. She didn't have it easy. But she uncovered the one trait that separates winners from everyone else. This isn't just about psychology. It's about pain, persistence, and the power of showing up. This is the story of grit and how one woman turned rejection into research and built from nothing. What if the most powerful force behind success wasn't talent, not being the smartest in the room, not being born into money, not having the perfect plan? What if the real game changer was simply not quitting? Angela Duckworth didn't come from greatness. She wasn't a prodigy. She didn't have the it factor people obsess over. But today, she's reshaping how we think about success around the world. Because she discovered something simple, yet profound. Talent counts, but effort counts twice. This is the story of how Angela Duckworth built everything from nothing. Angela was born in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, the daughter of immigrants. Her father, a hard-edged scientist from China, believed in excellence, and he let her know regularly that she fell short of it. "You're no genius," he used to say. To some, that might sound cruel, but to Angela, it became fuel. She never tried to prove she was a genius. Instead, she became something far more dangerous: resilient. She wasn't the fastest learner in the room, but she was the one who stayed after class. She didn't always have the answers, but she kept showing up with better questions. From a young age, she learned that effort wasn't just something you gave. It was something you trained. Angela eventually got accepted to Harvard University. She studied neurobiology, not exactly the easy path. But something strange happened during those years. While her classmates were climbing ladders toward prestige and paychecks, Angela was looking inward, and she realized, despite everything she had achieved, she wasn't fulfilled. She didn't want to chase titles. She wanted to chase truth. After graduating, she made a move few Ivy Leaguers would dare. She walked away from the academic fast track and became a middle school math teacher in the Bronx. It was inside those crowded classrooms, filled with 12-year-olds struggling with fractions and self-worth, that Angela had a revelation. Some students were naturally gifted. You could see it. But many of them quit when things got hard. Others, who didn't seem gifted at all, stuck with it. Even when they stumbled, they came back the next day, ready to try again. And that's when it hit her. The difference between who succeeds and who doesn't isn't talent, it's grit. That insight changed the course of her life. Angela went back to school. She earned a master's in psychology and then a PhD at the University of Pennsylvania. She began researching what makes people exceptional across disciplines, not just students, but athletes, CEOs, artists, soldiers, salespeople. What she found was staggering. The single most consistent predictor of long-term success wasn't IQ, wasn't SAT scores, wasn't personality type or charisma. It was grit, the passion and perseverance to pursue a long-term goal. So what is grit? Angela breaks it down into two parts. Passion, not momentary excitement, but deep, sustained commitment. Perseverance, the drive to keep going, especially when things get hard. It's not just about working hard. It's about working hard for a long time, through pain, setbacks, and boredom. Think of it like a marathoner's mindset. Sprint effort. Over a decade, Angela found that people with grit could outperform those with natural talent if they kept at it. They didn't burn out. They burned through. Her research started gaining momentum. She launched large-scale studies at places like West Point Military Academy, where cadets were dropping out during the grueling Beast Barracks. Angela created the Grit Score, a simple test to measure someone's likelihood to persist. It predicted who would finish, more accurately than IQ, athletic ability, or leadership potential. She did similar studies with National Spelling Bee finalists, the ones who practiced the longest, who stuck with it year after year. They were the ones standing at the podium when it was all over. Angela was proving that effort, disciplined, focused effort, could beat raw intelligence. And that scared some people. In 2013, she stepped onto the TED stage. Her talk, Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance, would go on to reach over 25 million views. The world was captivated. Parents wanted to raise grittier kids. Schools started shifting how they measured success. Companies adopted her framework in hiring and training. Angela wasn't just talking about an idea. She was starting a movement. In 2016, she released her book, Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance. It became a New York Times bestseller and changed the conversation around achievement worldwide. But the attention came with critics. Some academics pushed back. They argued grit overemphasized personal responsibility, that it didn't fully account for structural inequalities like poverty, racism, or trauma. Angela responded with humility and integrity. She never claimed grit was everything. She claimed it was something powerful and controllable. Grit isn't a magic cure for injustice, but it is a weapon for those navigating it. She emphasized that grit isn't fixed. It can be grown. And unlike privilege or natural intelligence, grit is accessible. It's not a gift. It's a choice, one made over and over again, in silence, in failure, in discomfort. Angela Duckworth didn't become successful overnight. She studied, she struggled, she taught, she failed, she climbed, and she kept climbing. She built a movement by doing what she teaches, sticking with it. Today, she runs the Character Lab, helping schools foster grit and self-control in students nationwide. She's advised athletes, CEOs, educators, and even military leaders. But she still speaks with the heart of a teacher, because that's where it started, in a middle school math class, watching kids wrestle with what most adults avoid, the uncomfortable process of growth. So what does Angela Duckworth's story teach us? It teaches us that greatness isn't born, it's earned. That genius might be impressive, but grit is unstoppable. That it's not about how fast you rise, it's about how long you last. Angela's life is proof that you don't need to be the most talented. You just need to keep showing up, Again, and again, and again. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to come from money. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need grit, the fire to care deeply, and the strength to keep going, even when it gets ugly. Angela Duckworth built from nothing. And in doing so, she gave us all permission to believe that maybe, just maybe, effort counts more than we thought. So if she could do it, what's stopping you? If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment. What's one thing you're willing to stay gritty for? Because here at Built From Nothing, we don't chase easy. We chase real. We chase legacy.